1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is June the 20th, 2022. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
June the 20th, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. How was your weekend, Carl?
It was great. We celebrated some nice Father's Day, watched Top Gun. Have you seen Top Gun yet?
The new one? I have not, no.
You need to see Top Gun.
I've heard very good things about it.
This is the thing. Going into it, I had not heard a single negative thing about it, and all of those people were correct.
Justified?
Very much so, yeah.
I will say, as a follow-up, there hasn't been a lot of hockey on, which has not been good. But what's been nice is catching up on some TV, and I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes of Obi-Wan.
I'm fully caught up on Obi-Wan. I rewatched old Top Gun. I watched new Top Gun. And I watched my hockey team score 7 goals in one game.
You're just getting it all in, hey, Carl?
So we are now recording. So pardon me if I come across as a little distracted at any point tonight, because we have, as you said, Game 3 tonight is on as we record. It is just into the first period. And so we'll talk about what's happened, what is happening, and some news of the week too. But you have this new fashion accessory that you're wearing tonight.
Yeah, do you like it? Folks can't see me framing it for you. I have a headset on tonight.
Just you thought that with a month or so left of the podcast that you would just switch it up on us?
Yeah, I sold all of my podcasting equipment. I needed the cash. So I sold it all. I was like, there's only a month left. No, for some reason, my computer that I normally use to record is not holding power. So I've had to switch to my work laptop. Yes, if my bosses are listening to this, I am using our company property to record a podcast right now. And
good thing they don't listen.
Good thing they don't listen.
Trust me, you would know by now if your bosses listen to this show.
Yeah, because they wouldn't be my bosses anymore.
You'd be their bosses if they listen to this show.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, wow, that is just so good that we need to promote you above us. And then they work for me and they do all of our research for the show every week.
On their work laptops.
That's what happens in our dreams. So yeah, my microphone setup doesn't work on my work laptop, so I'm using my Britney Spears microphone.
Well, I thought it was true that you did. Thought you placed a pretty big bet on Tampa to win Game 2, lost it, had to sell a few things to pay off that debt that you had. I'm glad to hear that it's just a power issue.
Yeah, I took Tampa to win, and I took the under. So went really well for me on Saturday. I'm just kidding. I didn't do either of those things.
Yeah, right now, both games have had 7 goals. Just in one of the games, all 7 came from one team.
Yeah. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start in Game 1 or do you want to start with Game 2?
Let's start in Game 1. That seems like a good place to start at the beginning. If I do this, if I turn my head and talk towards the TV, can you tell?
You're good. We
Okay.
can hear you.
Yeah, Game 1 was, it was good. Colorado gets out to that early 3-0 lead. But Tampa shuts it down, comes back as those 2 quick ones. And my biggest takeaway was, as we've seen through this whole playoff, my biggest takeaway from Tampa was how much Andrei Vasilevsky kept them in that game.
In Game 1, yeah, totally. Yeah, like Colorado was the better team that game.
For sure. And they forced OT, and once you get into OT, it's essentially a coin flip. Colorado won the coin flip, which is great.
Oh, man, I didn't tell you. So we're watching the hockey game in my basement. Game ends, and it's going to overtime. And I think I even texted you. I was like, you ready for 3 overtimes? Because it just felt like that's what was going to happen. So anyways, the buzzer goes. We go upstairs. Wow. Are you watching this right now?
Yeah, Vasilevsky. I don't know how Comfort didn't put that in.
That was close. This is the kind of follow along that you can all expect tonight. Just interrupting our sentences. Okay. So anyways, so the regular time ends. I turn the TV off to go upstairs. I'm going to watch the overtime in bed as much as I can get through. without falling asleep. So go upstairs, get changed into my pajamas, brush my teeth, get into bed, turn on the TV. The game's over. I missed the overtime goal.
How many overtime goals have you seen this playoffs? That's what I want to know.
I think like just one. I honestly think like just one of them.
It's unreal.
Just the luck, like the amount of time I have the TV off is so minimal. And as soon as I turn it off, goals are scored.
You leave the room. I mean, right now, once we turn off, so what we know then probably is this will go scoreless while you're watching. We'll turn off the podcast. You'll go to the bathroom and Colorado will score 3 times while you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. Either that or like my power will flicker again. And in the 30 seconds that the power's off, a goal will be scored.
Yeah, probably. That'll happen during this show. So big takeaway for me in that game, aside from that, was how good Vasilevsky was with his stick. And I know that we like make fun of a lot of goalies for playing the puck, but it was unreal how much the Avalanche were getting stopped in close from poke checks from Vasilevsky. Yeah. And which was noteworthy because let's go. Come on. He is having a playoffs.
Oh, wow. Bit of a floater shot, hey?
Yeah. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So Colorado game 2 was moved out from in front of that net, right? If you notice, a lot of their goals were scored from like hash marks around that depth, which is where Nichushkin just scored. Staying out of that's offside. Staying out of that range of him able to poke check. And so you didn't see as many guys drive to the net and try to score that way. You saw a lot of guys pass, go across the net to do that, which is what McKinnon just did there. And clearly big success.
I don't think this one's going to count, buddy.
I don't think so either. I'm not sure why John Cooper's still watching the replay to tell us if he wants to review it.
Yeah, no, that one seemed pretty obvious to me. There he goes. I think he just nodded to them.
Yeah, so that's coming back, which is fine.
But see, also,
you still weren't here for a goal.
I still haven't seen one. But also relevant to what we're seeing right now, Val Nichushkin, he's been a standout. I remember in game 1, I was like, man, this guy's flying. He looks amazing.
Yeah, he's been.
And then of course he comes out in game 2 and scores a couple.
Yeah, since he came to Colorado, I mean, he's been very much like an underrated player. I mean, I've loved having him, but he's very hot and cold, right? And right now you put him on that top line, especially with the rejigging of situations with Kadri out, and you get him with Landeskog and McKinnon, and things happen like we've seen in this series.
Of course. And then you mentioned Landeskog and McKinnon, Makar. These guys are going all out, right? Like the top guys are there. They're performing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you with this series, I mean, it's very easy to feel like that after a 7-0 game, right? Everyone was performing at peak performance that game, right? There wasn't a single player on the Avs that kind of mailed it in. And I'm sure if I thought hard, I could think of one of them that did. But I mean, they scored a touchdown. So it's pretty good.
And if you can think of one, it's definitely not Darren Helm.
Darren Helm scored.
Is he scoring at a rate of a goal per series right now?
I want to say more than that, but I could be mistaken.
I love it. My boy Darren Helm. So happy for him.
He's the glue holding us together at this point in time.
Holding you and I together, yeah. Yeah, because next week's show might be a little tense.
It's true. So he does only have 2. They've just been big goals. The series winner.
Series winner.
And then the breakaway shot again from further
Saturday
out
night.
on Saturday. So
yeah. Well, I mean, game 2, Tampa was just bad. Like Colorado was good. And don't get me wrong, throughout the first 2 games, and even, the 3 or 4 minutes that we've seen of this, they've looked really good. They've been the better team. But I also feel like what we saw in game 2 was not the Tampa Bay Lightning. that we know.
No, absolutely not. Right. The amount or the lack of pressure that they were able to put in really any zone. I mean, for it to be that big of a blowout, it needs to just be a complete failure in multiple areas, right? It's not just like one thing. You're like, well, we didn't stop their power play. They didn't stop the power play. They didn't stop them even strength.
They didn't stop them shorthanded.
No, right. So what stood out to you as like the biggest difference from game 1 to 2 for Tampa?
Their speed. I mean, they couldn't catch the Avalanche anywhere. Like you said, anywhere on the ice, O zone, D zone, power play, shorthanded, neutral zone. Like they just couldn't catch them. They had something like 6 even strength shots all game.
It's a ridiculous number.
That's bad. And then to make it worse, Kucherov, 0 shot attempts. Like never mind shots, just shot attempts. Nikita Kucherov had 0. Like for one of your best players, that is completely unacceptable.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't have that.
So it's just like, and you start to think like, what is the coach going to say to them to get them going this game? And all I can think of is like, shoot more, which is the most basic peewee hockey coaching advice you can give. Like just put the puck on net, but just shoot more.
Well, that shutout was not a shutout because Darcy Kemper was good. That was just a shutout. That was a team shutout. Right?
Totally.
We were right, not a goal.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I can't believe it took that long.
Yeah, right. So we've got. Can I get to tell you something? Your Britney Spears. Like every time you like flip it up, we can hear that.
Oh, you can?
We can.
Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. So that's how I mute it.
So just burp on mic. It's fine.
I'll mute it with. I'll figure something else out.
You still got to burp. A guy's got to burp.
Yeah.
So
we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I won't do it anymore.
I had something else I wanted to say about that game. Oh yeah. Would you have? I mean, it was 5-0 after the second period. Would you have put Vasilevsky in for that third?
No, I wouldn't have. I mean, I get why he did. I read his quote on why he did it, and I get it. It makes sense. Like a player like that over all this time, 2 championships, Vezina trophies, like Conn Smythe trophies, you have that trust in the guy, and I think it's a bit of a relationship thing at that point because you're probably not coming back on a 5-goal deficit in the third period. So I get it, but I wouldn't have. I think it's a statement at that point.
It absolutely is a statement. And I think, he knows Vasilevsky better than any one of us. I personally wouldn't have, but I think, he knows how he would react to that.
Yeah.
He also knows how, just how fresh he is, right? Because that's my biggest thing. I'm like, you know what? You don't want him getting banged up. Everyone's got a little bit of something they're dealing with right now. And you don't want just like a lazy play for him to tweak something or to hurt something. So I think I look at that and I'm like, I wouldn't want him getting hurt. I wouldn't want anything happening. It turned out fine, right? Nothing negative happened. Left him in. It's not like he had a lot of work in the third. It was, he let in 2 goals, so he didn't work that hard in the third period. So it's just kind of more of that.
He also didn't take part in practice between Saturday and today. So that tells me that there's got to be some fatigue at play there. They want him to rest up. They want him to, cool off, refocus. So I don't know. Goalies are weird. It's a tough one. I never know what to say about goalies. Yeah.
And it does become a thing where it is a very tough call for a coach, right? That player, will the fatigue of it, because it's such a mental part, right? All sports has a big mental aspect to it, but I feel like goaltending is a huge one, right? For sure in hockey, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, you've got to balance those two. I wouldn't have, but we'll see.
And I want to ask you this because it's popping into my head now that we're watching this game. Have the Avalanche been taking more penalties this series than the rest of the playoffs?
I would say yes. Yeah.
Certainly feels like it.
Yeah.
I
haven't looked at the actual like penalty rates of those two games versus the rest of the playoffs, but it does feel like that's been the case for sure. And I think part of it is them trying to match because they're a physical team. Tampa is a physical team. So I think part of it is them trying to just match that. And so, and also, part of the way that you can stop that speed of Tampa, you talk about the fact that they had, they weren't as fast in game 2 as they were in game 1. Well, being a little more physical, taking some of those chances, right? Comper just got called for interference. Well, you interfere with someone, you slow them down. If it gets called, you made a mistake. So
yeah, totally. And it's not like Tampa's been incredibly dangerous on the power play so far. So although they have had a couple good chances just now today.
The Stamkos one that ended up being called a high stick was a very, an impressive play. And yet we've got Logan O'Connor on a rush getting a shot. So
yeah,
that's where this power play's at, that they couldn't even get settled into the zone repeatedly in game 2.
Yeah, that's true. Game 2 is, I don't know, for these guys, it's just got to be a write-off, right? Like, it happened, erase it from your memory, just move on.
Yeah. Well, what do you expect from the rest of the series? Obviously, we're like 10 minutes into game 3, back in Tampa. And you can easily say, I'll give my thought. I know I asked the question, but I'm going to share my thoughts first so that you can like tell me why I'm wrong. It's very easy to say like Tampa did against the Rangers, right? Tampa gave up. Shockingly, Tampa only gave up one more goal in Denver than they did in the first 2 games in New York. So they did not play well. Thinking back to that series, they did not play very well in the first 2 games there. Fast forward to here. Now they're back in Tampa, and that's when they shut it down and won 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. And I have a very hard time just completely writing them off at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's easy after a 7-0 win to say sweep, but I can't see it.
No, I don't see it either. And I think especially a group like Tampa, they're not going to take an embarrassing loss like that and just roll over. Like, they're going to come back. This has to be a statement game for them. And actually, before this game started, I was feeling very confident that Tampa was going to win tonight. Now I'm a little less confident because Colorado's, they're looking pretty good, but I still think that Tampa's going to pull it out tonight and win.
And I think, it's very easy, like a statement game. Yes. But like, this is, you have to win this game. It's not a statement game. It's if you want to bother being in this series, you better win. Yeah. Is the statement that I'm the Stanley Cup champion or am I the Eastern Conference champion? That's the statement that you're making this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? They have to be way better than they've been in the first 10 minutes here.
I think, this has been since I know that they had a power play, but since the offside call, you erase that, right? The offside erased goal. They've been good enough to win. They've had some chances. They haven't had as much even strength as Colorado has, but I think this is good enough to get a win, especially with Vasilevsky, right? This is a good enough game to win with him in net, is with what they're putting forward right now.
Yeah, we'll see. It's good enough, sure, but it's still pretty even for me. Wouldn't surprise me if Colorado eked out.
It wouldn't. I think we've seen from both of these teams, because in Colorado, you get one chance, right? You give McKinnon the puck in the D zone and he decides he's going to skate through everyone. You give it to Makar at the blue line. He's going to step up, but Tampa does the exact same thing. Those 2 goals in game 1, right? But 80 seconds apart, something like that. They can very easily do the exact same thing that Colorado does, which is just, out of nowhere bounce back and get those goals that they need. And all of a sudden it's a tied up game or they're up a few. So,
yeah. So how do you think this thing's going to end? Where are you at with your prediction at this point?
I'm thinking Colorado in 6 is my current prediction. I think they split the rest of the way.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I want Game 7 just for the chaos, but Colorado looks too determined to let it get that far.
And I think what Tampa wins tonight, Colorado wins Game 4, Tampa wins Game 5, and then Colorado takes Game 6. Is my pessimistic view of it.
Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me if Colorado won in 5.
Tampa wins tonight, then Colorado takes the next 2.
Yeah.
If Colorado does win tonight, I think it's done in 4.
You think so, hey?
I can't see. I mean, it's tough to be down 3-0. And in the same way that we saw against Edmonton, right? Edmonton got into that last game and they tried, but Colorado could just keep the throttle down and push hard. So I think it would be very tough for Tampa to come back and win a Game 4 after being down.
If Tampa goes down 3-0, I don't see them winning the series. I don't know if I see them being swept though.
No.
Actually, it would be kind of poetic because the last series they lost was the sweep to Columbus, was it not?
So Tampa only gets swept. That's what we've learned.
Yeah. So the last series they lose was a sweep to Columbus, and then the next time they lose in the playoffs is a sweep to Colorado. So a sweep from the worst team in the playoffs to a sweep to the best team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to steal a game, at least.
Well, we'll see here. I mean, you've given Colorado a power play. I actually didn't even see the penalty. I was too busy talking to you.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I saw the coaches complaining, the Tampa coaches.
That they're going to do that.
Although literally every penalty is disputed at this point. Nobody thinks they did anything wrong.
No. You could have a guy put it straight over the glass without even attempting to. Oh, that's going to get called back, I think.
Oh, man, they were all over the goalie.
I mean, he was literally in the middle of the crease.
Are they even going to have to challenge that?
I don't know.
John Cooper.
It wasn't, it wasn't dirty, but I don't think that's clean. I don't think that's allowed.
John Cooper just had the look on his face of a parent whose every day their kid ends up in detention. And you're just like, come on, guys, help me out here.
You know what? If he hadn't have hit it after, if it was just off of him, and also because Chernak hits him into Vasilevsky, because again, NHL defenders love to check people towards their goalies. I think that might stand.
I think it's going to get called back. Because if you watch, is it standing right now? They didn't challenge it?
We've dropped the puck. That's a goal.
Wow, they didn't challenge it.
Yeah. I
would have challenged that because Vasilevsky went to move his blocker to stop the puck and Landeskog was right there, so he couldn't move it any further. Wow.
I mean, I did make the case that it's because he was literally pushed there.
Pushed into it? Could be.
I don't know. I don't have the sound on, so I don't know if they gave any logic on the broadcast too, but that's what I would think, that it wasn't there. And I'm not sure. I think if Landeskog doesn't touch the puck, it's still going in. So I think that would play into it as well.
Yeah, it could be. / also these coaches know that coach challenges are like a crapshoot on a good day, and they're like, we already won one. Let's not push our luck.
How many do you get? If you keep getting them right, do you get unlimited?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the rule.
Yeah, that I wasn't sure.
And goaltender interference is even more confusing than the blue line one. So if you're unsure at all, it's not worth taking the bench penalty.
No, because they literally just scored on a power play. To then put them back on the power play for the failed review is not ideal.
Yeah, but man, Tampa is coming out much harder after that goal.
Yes. for sure.
Like this has been, they've just been penned in Colorado's zone since play resumed.
What they need to do is put one of those pucks on net. They're using your strategy.
Yeah.
Though. They're using the take every shot. They're just wiring it 2 feet wide from the blue line, which isn't ideal.
Yeah, exactly. At least they're recovering the puck, because that's the most frustrating thing is when you just get rid of it and then nobody recovers it.
Yeah, they've got guys in on the forecheck.
There's Darren Helm looking exhausted, man. He's getting too old to play the way he plays.
Yeah, actually, I still have Darren Helm's hockey reference page up, and was like, why is there a 6-year gap there? Oh, those are playoff stats. Never mind. I was like, why did he go from 35 to 29? Did he take a time off? No,
I think he missed most of one season with some crazy back injury.
That'll do it. All right, but we're coming up on our break here, and I think it's also going to be a commercial break of the hockey game. So why don't we do that right away here, as we have another penalty called? And it's been let's talk about this on the other side. Penalties and the calling of them this playoffs. We'll take a look on the other side because we're going to commercial. So see ya. Three, two, one.
All right. First thought I have coming out of break, people are going to realize how short of a break we actually take in real life because the game's still on commercials.
We take less than one set of commercials.
The illusion has been shattered.
I mean, it's not really an illusion. We just dropped like a 30-second ad in there and we're back. It's like it's a live radio show.
It's true. And there we go. We have the game feedback, just also with a betting ad on the other half of the screen. All right. So penalties. You want to talk about penalties and how the referee likes to be the star of the show in the playoffs?
Yeah. Normally the big narrative all playoffs long is that, they put the whistles away come playoff time. And this season, it is not the case. It hasn't been the entire time. And I mean, this is the third penalty and we're 11 minutes into this game. Is it just me?
No, I noticed that the entire postseason. I felt like the penalties are being called. There's a lot of penalties called. And I don't know if it just feels like it's more because it's the postseason and power plays mean so much more. Like part of me is just like, it's actually at the same amount as the regular season. Like this is what we've been asking for. Call the playoffs like you would the regular season. Exactly.
Yeah. There's been only a few games. And I feel like, like overtimes, I feel like the whistle gets put away, but also there hasn't even been in those overtimes. I think just players are careful because you don't want to be the guy who takes that penalty in overtime. Because in those, I think back to like Rangers Pens, and I'm sure that there are some fans of both those teams that would strongly disagree with me, but like, it wasn't like there were uncalled plays all over the place that were happening in that game. So
yeah, overtime. And I find the last couple minutes of the game, things that would normally be called or let go.
That was the weirdest way I've ever seen someone play the puck. What is Vasilevsky doing?
He's all over the place, man.
For those of you who didn't see, he laid his stick down on the ice and then just put his glove over it and just shoved it away. Just use your stick like a normal goalie. Don't be weird about it.
And did you just see right now the Lightning trying to move up the ice and he flopped on the pass in the neutral zone?
I didn't.
I don't know if you saw that. And it's just little mistakes like that. And a few minutes before that, Hedman fumbled the puck on the blue line and they lost their zone time. Little stuff like that is what's killing Tampa. Just those little details that they're normally so good at. Just tiny little mistakes like that. And suddenly the play is going the other like that. Yeah.
Like they can't get that zone entry because Darren Helm's sitting there. You can't get the puck past Darren Helm.
Yeah. And then it turned into an odd man rush the other way, and Vasilevsky had to make a stop shorthanded again. Wow. So it's like, did you see that goal though?
I did. That
was kind of garbage.
That was, shouldn't have been a goal. It should have been stopped is what I'm trying to say. If Kemper
should have been, because Cirelli definitely did not mean to score that. Like it was moving way too fast for him to process what was happening, and then it was just in the net.
It's like, oh, let's put it here. That's literally how I play beer league. Like I'm gonna go forehand, backhand. Oh no, I lost the puck. It's 5-hole.
That's not at all what he was trying to do.
No, but when he gets back to the bench, he's gonna tell everyone he meant to.
Yeah, totally.
You guys see that move I just did there? I totally tricked him.
Hey, pass me the iPad. Everyone, look at this.
But that's what you mean, right? Or like you've got Tampa can score just as quick as Colorado can. You've got, and I think it's more noticeable because like Colorado's goaltending is worse. So
totally,
you let in some stinkers like that where he bites on the player instead of the puck, which you shouldn't do that.
No,
Darcy.
No. Okay, we've talked enough about this series, and frankly, we'll come back to it as the first period winds down.
Yes.
Any other thoughts?
No. Let's get to, because there's a lot of coaching moves announced this week, and let's start with the first one that we listed. I think this was the first one that happened.
I did it in chronological order.
Bruce Cassidy. I wrote it down wrong. I said Bruce Cassidy to Boston. He's from Boston. Bruce Cassidy to Vegas, the newest coach, former Boston Bruins coach, now coach of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Amazing how quickly Vegas pivoted their head coaching plans, hey? Like, who knows what they were thinking when Cassidy became available, and the next week he's hired by them. I wonder how many interviews they canceled after they got a hold of him.
I mean, I assume based on Vegas's coaching strategy, which is just hire the best available at that point in time and keep them around for a couple of years. I assume that they still just did their interviews and then were like, yeah, we don't need you.
Maybe. Great. It's a good pickup for them though, right?
For sure.
I think so. I mean, for the roster that they have and where they should be in the standings, I think he'll be very good for that team.
And if you look at, because he's only been a head coach in Boston. I'm 99% sure about that, but you can correct me.
I think you're correct. Yes.
Okay. And with what he did with that team, right? And you look at kind of the ideal situation. If you look at a Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak line and compare it to a Stone, Pacioretty, Eichel line, right? Like he knows what to do when he's got a big three.
Yeah.
He knows what to do when he's got a Robin Lehner, Tuukka Rask. He knows what to do with a strong defense started with a Pietrangelo. It's honestly not that big of a leap from him to say, hey, look what I did in Boston. And I'm just going to compare my roster there to your roster here. I can do the same thing here.
Yeah. Frankly, against easier competition throughout the year.
Right. Exactly. When it's like, hey, you know what? Imagine what I can do against all 3,000 fans in the Arizona Coyotes new arena.
Yeah. The Sharks, the Ducks, and the Kings. Please. I've been coaching against the Panthers, Lightning, and Maple Leafs all year.
Yeah.
And doing pretty good.
Making the playoffs against them. Pushing Carolina to 7.
Yep.
With the scraps of with the fact of what they had for goaltending in that with that team this year, right? That they were like, well, I guess we're going to have Rask later, and then he ultimately retires and isn't healthy enough, and just the unsettledness of that. What they managed to do, impressive.
Yeah, totally. He's a great pickup for Vegas.
Yeah. Next, and this is where it gets surprising, because John Tortorella. And I literally still did it. I wrote down torts.
Yeah.
Or no, I didn't. I wrote down trots, but it's not.
It's torts.
Torts, not trots. I messed it up so many times this weekend.
I thought you were going to say torts to Boston.
Is my mic still off?
Okay, man. I didn't know if that was me or if that was you.
No. Torts to Boston would make too much sense from let's put everything that's not likable in one city.
It actually makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
The tough guy mentality.
Yeah. But instead he's in Philly, which also makes a lot of sense.
Which also makes a lot of sense.
Are we going to get the Broad Street Bullies back? Is that what we're getting?
Oh, I don't think the Flyers are good enough to have the Broad Street Bullies.
here's the thing. I mean, they could be the Broad Street Bullies. They just won't win. They'll just take a lot of penalties.
But they would be sloppy ones, not exciting ones.
Yeah, exactly. It's reckless is what it is.
Yeah.
An interesting choice, though, for where this team is at. It really makes me wonder where they think they are as an organization, because this seems like picking him up seems like a move that you do for a team that's like already underway, right? I think back to Columbus, and they brought him in to take that team to the next step. And it didn't go well when he was part of the rebuild stage of Columbus. And I look at, all these players that they have. They just traded away Claude Giroux. They're clearly, what I thought, trying to continue this rebuild. Wow. And that was a good goal.
It's 5:06 left in the first period, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are leading 2-1 by moving the puck in ways that I was not expecting. Like, my eyes kept going one way and the puck wasn't there.
They used the Sorelli move.
Just on purpose this time.
An intentional one, yeah.
And a bad giveaway to start it all off.
A terrible one.
Yeah.
But that's what bad transition entirely. Like, what is Rantanen doing there in front of them? He's just skating backwards, entirely unaware that there's a guy behind.
Yeah. Yeah. What a cool... I love watching stuff like that. Like, everything's moving in one way and then the puck goes the other way.
Yeah.
Very cool. So where were we? Trotz in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Trotz.
Torts in Philadelphia.
Oh my goodness. Look, you can't expect me to be able to catch something like that seconds after Tampa scores. I was literally like, okay, Carl, hold it together. Be professional during the rest of this podcast. You only have 20 minutes left. You can do it.
And this is how you can tell I'm a Red Wings fan, because I got Trotz on my mind. Torts in Philadelphia. I think the Flyers are not expecting to win anytime soon, and they're just going for the entertainment factor. They're like, Torts can come in. Torts can come in. He's fiery. He's entertaining. He'll give some interesting sound clips. His teams play an interesting style. I don't think they're expecting him to come in and turn them into Stanley Cup contenders.
That's actually the process that you think they took? Because if so, that's
probably not 100% that way. And look, if I'm being serious, I think Torts has softened over the years a little bit. Like, he's not that same angry, fiery guy that we used to see in New York. Like, he did some legitimately positive things with Columbus. And, I think he's good with teams until he loses the room. And as soon as he loses the room, it's really, really bad.
I think that anyone is good until they lose the room. I think
but I think it's worse for him.
Well, I think it's easier for him to lose the room, I think, is the problem, right? He loses it quicker, it falls off a cliff because kind of some of those tougher mentalities and expectations he has of guys. And he is not, I think one thing he is still is not afraid to share his mind.
Yeah, that is true. So maybe what they're thinking is that we know our team from a skill perspective doesn't have it all there. Maybe they looked at the Columbus example and thought they didn't really either when they swept Tampa. But he got them to play in a way to eliminate the league leading team. So, what kind of discipline can he instill in this scrappy group that we have?
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably the logic they're going. Plus bonus points for entertainment.
Yeah, that does seem like a more logical point of view. And I would agree with that for sure.
Who else we got? Who's next?
We got Pete DeBoer going to Dallas.
Oh, yeah, the boring one of the bunch.
DeBoering. It's a good pickup for Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I have zero opinion on Pete DeBoer.
I feel like he's he is boring. I feel like he's the boring version of Torts. Like he loses the room because everyone falls asleep in it. Whereas like Torts is yelling at them and he just like everyone's like, I literally can't listen to monotone Pete DeBoer anymore.
Yeah. Pete DeBoer's idea of excitement is shaving his goatee.
What'd you do this weekend, Pete? Had a real
wild one.
Had a real nice bath and a shave.
Crazy weekend.
Cannot imagine. I mean, to be fair, if I shaved off my mustache, I would be telling everybody about it. So let's not poo-poo that too much. That is a very legitimate way to spend an evening.
Well, I mean, not to build you up too much, but your mustache is far more iconic than Pete DeBoer's goatee.
Well, now it is because he got rid of it.
Yeah.
So if he had kept it, he could have done something novelty with it, at least. But no. Instead, it was just like that nice uncle goatee. You just know that the uncle down the street's got.
And now he's going somewhere so hot that he's never going to want facial hair again.
It's true. We do have a fourth one right before we started recording tonight, actually. Ryan Huska joined the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah. Although I did see a tweet right after I sent you, well, not right after, but soon after I sent you that, saying that might not be final yet, but it sounds like that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know who this person is. Like go ahead.
So sorry. You don't know who he is. So this does come from Kevin Weeks, who's like, Kevin Weeks has been breaking every single coaching piece of news this entire offseason. It's been pretty impressive how he knows what's happening with coaching. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a new segment on the show called Carl reads an article in French and Nick tries to figure out what he's saying.
Oh, this is good. All right, let's do it.
Selon Kevin Weeks de Réseau ESPN, les Blackhawks de Chicago seraient sur le point de nommer Ryan Huska comme entraîneur-chef de l'équipe.
Okay, I'm with you so far. The Chicago Blackhawks have named Ryan Huska as their head coach.
Is that what an entraîneur-chef?
Yeah.
An entraîneur-chef.
Entraîneur is a direct translation would be trainer, but that's what you call a coach.
Because to me, it's the equipment cook. Like he's like making the entraîneur chef de l'équipe. Like he's making like a brisket and an elbow pad, or like the helmet of nachos you get at a baseball game. That was his idea.
I mean, that alone is worthy of hiring somebody for any position.
I would not name the guy who came up with nachos in a helmet my head coach, though. That is wildly above his skill set.
You know how some coaches like chew on ice cubes behind the bench?
Yes.
This guy's just got nachos going nonstop.
Yeah.
I do like how your assumed translation for chef is like a chef, like a cook, instead of a chief.
That would make sense too.
Yeah. So they're
right.
essentially saying he's a chief trainer.
So that's the lead of this article. Let's get into kind of the meat and potatoes, because
great.
We'll learn a little bit about Ryan Huska here.
Hopefully.
I think we will in the third one, because we learn more about his chef skills. Weeks cependant spécifie que la situation. Wow, they don't even use real quotes in French.
No, they're like sideways ones.
This is wild. La situation demeure fluide et que l'équipe travaille toujours sur le processus d'embauche après avoir discuté avec des membres de l'organisation des Blackhawks.
Okay, so what they're saying is Weeks went on to say that the situation is fluid, but they're working on finalizing the details, basically with the Blackhawks organization.
All right, so let's figure out a little bit about who this guy is.
Okay.
Age de 46 ans, Huska et Tate, entraîneur adjoint avec les Flames de Calgary depuis la saison 2018-2019. Il a été instructeur un chef de heat, so he cooks with heat, which is an important thing. Un chef de heat de Stockton dans la Ligue américaine de hockey et des Rockets de Kelowna dans la Ligue junior de l'Ouest.
Okay. So he's 46 years old. He was, and he's been an assistant coach with the Calgary Flames since 2018-19. Before that, he was a head coach of the Stockton Heat in the AHL, and then the Kelowna Rockets of the, I'm forgetting the name of the other league now.
WHL.
WHL.
There we go. Interestingly, this is one last fact about him. Huska a disputé 5 saisons au niveau professionnel. Il a joué un seul match dans la LNH avec ses Memes Blackhawks en 1997-1998.
You want to take a stab at that one?
He had 5 seasons of professional hockey and played 1 game with the Blackhawks as a meme in 1997-1998.
I didn't catch the meme part, but that's essentially, yes, what they said.
I think my French is pretty good.
That's not bad, Carl. That's very good. Doesn't tell us much about how good of a coach he is, what he's going to do with this Blackhawks team, what the Blackhawks think they're going to do with this Blackhawks team.
Well, and I think that's a big thing because we hear over the weekend that apparently Alex DeBrincat is on the trading block. And when he's the only piece of note still with the Blackhawks as a trade piece. Patrick Kane has a big contract still. I'm not sure anyone would want to trade for that. DeBrincat is the only piece that'll get anything back.
But how many more years do Kane and Taves have on their deals? Like, not that many.
I want to say this is the last year.
Yeah, they're almost done. But Patrick Kane's not going anywhere.
No.
Frankly, I don't think Jonathan Taves is either, no matter how mad he is that the Blackhawks are not good anymore.
He'll just, would you be at all surprised? I assume he retires after this season.
Yeah, I kind of assume that too.
Right? He'll be 35. Contract is up at the end of this year. He doesn't seem like the guy who needs to push, especially after the health problems he went through trying to get back. I don't know.
I'm sure they've got a nice advisor title waiting for him on the other side.
Or they, trade to. I could see like go get one last cup with somebody, kind of move at the end of this deal, and then he retires. But
yeah,
I also don't see how any cup contending team could fit $10.5 million of Jonathan Taves' contract in there. So
no, not going to happen. And it doesn't really matter. Like in a sense, I think the Blackhawks are just being realistic. Like, it's not going to happen for them this year. It's not going to happen for them next year. Time to do a little bit of, rebuilding.
Yeah.
The dreaded rebuild.
Which you would think, it would be really helpful for them to do this rebuild.
What's that?
Having a first-round draft pick this year.
Why do they need a first-round draft pick when they have Seth Jones?
Yeah, right. They have all those years of Seth Jones
and his brother. What more do they need? They got the Joneses.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with the Joneses, really. I've been hearing about that for a long time. But they did manage to get a number of draft picks this year. They don't have their first, but they do have 2 seconds, 3 thirds. And then they've gotten the 2 picks from the Brandon Hagel trade, which, if we're talking about that, Brandon Hagel, nowhere to be seen in these playoffs.
In the playoffs?
Yes.
That's not true. Come on. Brandon Hagel's been okay. He's not been a superstar by any mean, but I think he's done enough for them to make that trade worth it for the Lightning.
No, he hasn't even been the best trade deadline pickup for the Lightning. Like when you're getting outshone by Nick Paul, you need to seriously reconsider what you're doing.
Man, where did this guy come from, by the way, this Nick Paul guy? He's all over the ice all the time.
That's what happens when you play in Ottawa. It really brings down your entire spirit.
Holy moly. I just can't believe it. He's come out of nowhere.
I very much consider the Brandon Hagel trade a disappointment based solely on this playoffs.
Nah, I don't really disagree. Maybe I don't fully disagree because I can't think of concrete examples right now to tell you here's when he's been good. I just have this vague kind of awareness of him.
Like he's present. Like he's been at the games. He shows up.
He's there. He's skating. But yeah, I don't know. What did they give up for him? A couple seconds?
No.
Or a second?
2 firsts.
They give up 2 first-round picks for that guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's not worth it.
No. Do you want to make a prediction on how many points your favorite Tampa Bay Lightning player, Brandon Hagel, has in this playoff?
3.
He has 6.
6. How many points do you have the whole team up there?
Sure.
Okay, how many points does Patrick Maroon have?
Well, Patrick Maroon has intangibles that Brandon Hagel.
Oh, okay.
That's what Tampa fans would say. Patrick Maroon has 4, 3 goals, 1 assist versus 2 and 4.
Okay.
I mean, Hagel's 9th on this team in points, but
that's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's getting outscored. Ross Colton outscoring him. Corey Perry, Nick Paul.
Wow, Corey Perry is probably going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. So
Braden Point is almost outscoring him, and he's only played in 9 games.
He's not even playing.
Like Braden Point has barely played this playoffs, and he's almost.
You gonna compare this guy to a superstar?
I'm half a superstar. He is literally half as good as Braden Point, is what we're learning right now. So yes, I will compare it. Which also, cue Brandon Hagel overtime winner tonight, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
After this conversation.
I'm putting money on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one else is going to know this until after, because we're just heading back out for the first period. We're going to start wrapping up the show here, but that's a thing you can definitely count on.
Yes, absolutely. What else we got?
Oh, the trade. We did have an actual trade this week.
Oh, yeah. The trade. I keep forgetting about it because of how irrelevant Shea Weber is.
Shea Weber off to the Vegas Golden Knights for the finally actually legally traded Evgenii Dadonov.
Yeah. There's a few funny things about this trade, but one of them is that the Anaheim Ducks were on Dadonov's no trade list, but the Montreal Canadiens were not.
He has limits.
Yeah.
To be fair, he made the trade. The trade list was made while he was with Ottawa, though, was it not?
That is true. Yes. It's not an updated no trade list.
It's not like every time they want to trade him, they have to call him and ask for one. It was a one-time deal. And to be fair, Montreal did make the finals last year.
Do you think as revenge for him not waiving, they were actively shopping him among like the bottom 5 teams in the league?
Which dead contract can we take on right now to really just put it over the edge?
I mean, Shea Weber's is a pretty good one to take on for them.
Yeah, and I mean, this clearly we kind of assumed and knew, but this kind of fully cements the fact that he will not be playing again in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, it prompted his farewell message, so
that's that. He's not going to retire because then he doesn't get paid, but he's not going to play. So
I just love how the league's just like, you're not allowed to do this, but if you don't say it out loud, we're okay with it. Like literally everybody knows what's happening.
Yes. Yeah. He knows what's happening. The teams know what's happening. I'm fairly certain that the NHL probably advertised Shea Weber's message on their social media.
So weird. Like just embrace it or stop it. Put a rule in against it. This weird purgatory thing is, I don't know. It's just.
How could you do it though? And the players still get paid for them to like retire and still get their money.
Yeah. I don't know. This is where it's so complicated and requires law degrees, which you and I don't have.
Yet. Maybe
you want to start? You want to start? Maybe our next podcast can be about you and I getting our law degrees.
That would be a podcast
in our mid-30s.
That would be a podcast that multiple people would listen to. Our classmates in law school. They'd be like, can we be guests on the podcast?
Yeah, it's true. If there's one thing we know lawyers like to do, it's talking.
Exactly. And about themselves. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, Nick, that brings us to the end of our last podcast ever with a hockey game on in the background.
It's true. This time next week. We got to talk about next Monday. But this time next week, this series will probably be over.
Because we have game 4 on Wednesday. Game 5 is on Friday. Game 6 will be on Sunday. If this goes 7 games, it will be on Tuesday of next week.
So it'll likely be over. But do you know what else is going to be on next Sunday?
Next Sunday or next Monday?
No, Monday. Sunday.
No.
The Detroit Red Wings Colorado Avalanche ESPN 60 documentary. Yes. 2 hours of television about that rivalry.
Do you know if it's going to be aired in Canada?
I don't know yet. I'm still trying to dig into it a little bit. There's still not a ton of information out there. All I know so far is that it's supposed to air on Sunday on ESPN, ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Eastern. Just such a weird time slot.
Well, before the game, right? Game's at 8. So you want to give 7 hours for people to watch the 2-hour show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that way we can watch it 3 times.
Yes. Because you can watch it, then you can get really riled up, fight somebody, and then watch it a second time.
Exactly.
To get riled up before the game.
Exactly.
All right. That brings us to the end of the show. We got update on the high sticking standings. They are up to date. You know how literally the only thing I've been asking for this round of the playoffs is to not have a tie?
Yep.
We do not have a tie right now. In fact, Brody has a commanding 7-point lead, which means that if the Avalanche sweep, no matter what happens for predictions, he wins.
Great.
So stay tuned, Brody, and those chasing him. Scotty, Mike, Scott, that's not Scotty, Rod, and Ken. There's only 6 people still eligible. That's what happens when you run an entire playoff long contest. But those 6 could still catch Brody at the top.
I think Brody's got it.
I would say it's pretty good. I mean, he's come this far, right? He's been in it repeatedly. And at this point in time, I mean, I can't pick favorites, but I kind of just don't want him to lose a close one again. So we'll see how it goes. But you can play that just for fun now, because if you're just starting now, I'm sorry, you're not going to catch them. But you can join us on Twitter at 4th Line Podcast with the number 4, which is where we'll be hanging out during games as well. Talking about what we're seeing, how I'm feeling, how I am handling whatever's happening in the game. And then the 4thlinepodcast.com as well. Mail at the 4thlinepodcast.com if you want to send us an email. We'll be back next week. Maybe with me celebrating my Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup. Maybe me mourning the 4 games in a row that Tampa has won in a row.
Oh. We'll see.
Could you imagine if we go from the high of me right now? I feel like I've kind of reined it in. Tried not to be too overconfident.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty good on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah.
You've come down a little bit from that.
Yeah, and I don't want to be disappointed. So we've got that. Could you imagine me going from the high of 7-0 win to 4 losses in a row and out?
No. I don't know if the podcast would make it another month.
It's going to be the saddest podcast ever next Monday. It's true. It might be the last one. It might not even happen. This might be the last podcast. If it is, thank you very much. It wouldn't be the only. There was, one of our friends of the show once did that with his show. He just ended it. Just surprise at the end. This is our surprise end at the end. where if Colorado loses 4 in a row, we might just end it.
Thank you all for listening.
Thanks for all the years. Thanks for all the tears. We'll see you next time.
Mic check. My microphone is killing me. In Brandon Hagel, I still believe. Not worth 2 firsts, but can still be whole. Just score a goal. Help win the cup just one more time.